welcome to another episode of the Herd Main Show. I'm your herd leader, John Wayne.
Is that what this is?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm Megan.
Okay, welcome. Glad to have you. Glad to be here.
I'm
Uh,
I'm
and
glad to be had.
and we're glad everyone listening or watching is here. If you are watching, the screen's not broken. It's just a screenshot because we're doing this audio only, just for the sake of being able to get it out with everything else going on and all that good stuff. Because we wanted to talk Star Wars, and we couldn't
Yeah.
let anything get in the way. So we're doing it regardless. It just means that you don't have our animated faces to look at if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're listening to this, nothing's different.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't even have noticed anything or knew that any changes had been made if I hadn't said it.
Yes. That tends to be what happens.
So, but we wanted to talk some Star Wars as we do. That's what this is all about. And, because we're chumps and on the bandwagon, we wanted to talk about what everybody else is talking about,
The
uh, which,
election.
which is The Mandalorian.
That too.
No, hopefully everyone voted. I mean, at this point, it's too late. They're counting the votes. So hopefully
Yeah.
yours is in there, and hopefully yours is for the right person. We believe in our person.
Hmm.
Don't know what you believe. I have an idea of what some of you believe. But here's the
Yeah.
thing. I don't really hold any of that against anyone.
No.
At the end of the day, I just hope we get someone who will lead us in a good direction and do the right things, whatever that looks like. So,
Yeah.
with no official Nerd Herder branded official candidate, why don't we all just vote for the Mandalorian because he's best boy?
Or you could vote for Liverito on Twitter
Who?
yet again.
Oh, Liverito.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yes, the
Yeah. Dave and Liv from Pizza and Parsecs or Cam Ray, whichever.
this is a very short term if we're up for another election.
Right. Well, stuff happens.
Yeah, so we have lots of pod people that we love dearly, and that apparently are seeking presidency in
Yeah.
some fashion. I don't have a full idea and understanding of what presidency.
Yeah, here's the thing. When all of that shenanigans was going on, you stayed out of it.
Well,
Like, pretty
in
solidly.
general, I don't think a lot of people realize I don't do that much social media.
Yeah.
Like if I do, it's mostly on my social media. So a lot of the major interaction is you.
Yeah, if you want to talk about stuff and bully people about their food preferences, follow me on Twitter.
Which I mean, that's the thing with we both manage it. We
Mhm.
both post different things and everything. But like, yeah, I'm not. Um, I use social media differently than a lot of people, I guess. I mean, you can find me on Twitter and Facebook, all that, if you want to. But like, I have a purpose with my social media stuff. I don't hang so much.
Yeah.
Usually, if I'm hanging or if we're chatting, I have your number or something like that. Or we're
Yeah.
actually together, 6 feet apart with masks on.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so I don't avoid anything out of spite or anything like that. Or I don't want anybody to think Nerd Herder avoids anything. If you're Nerd Herder, like I'd say 70% of the time. So
Yeah, when you turn on our Twitter and you go to it and something weird is on the Twitter, like talking about, I don't know, Darth Maul, most likely, or
or just ran like
like,
questions or
yeah, questions, hard hitting food opinions like almond joys are the best candy,
hmm.
which, yeah, they are.
I mean, I do a lot of retweeting.
You do.
My main thing is I like to share other people's podcasts or other people's art or other people's stuff, whatever
Yeah.
that is. So I'm either posting episodes or doing that, and sometimes just general posting. I don't know. I,
Yeah.
I post with purpose. I like to think so.
I think it's just as an introvert, I'm more social on social media.
Yup, it's a danger.
It's a very danger.
I have thoughts about that and everything like that, but that's not what this podcast is about.
No.
But anyway, so all that to say, Red5Network is full of awesome people like Cam and Dave and Liv and so many more. So you can
Yeah.
check them out and you can check out the shenanigans, or you can hit up Nerd Herder and Megan at Nerd Herder will help you out.
Yes, I will.
Um,
I
me,
will help you choose the correct candy bar, which is almond joy.
uh, ew, no,
You're ew.
it's not.
I'm gonna go into this
You've
drawer
got
that I
you've got
have
you've
right next
got
to my chair.
an inferior nut, and you've got two inferior nuts because you've got almond and you've got coconut.
Okay, you and
It's
Adam
ridiculous.
can go into a corner
I mean,
with your bad food
if you're gonna
opinions.
do like nuts in your sweet things, it better at least be macadamia, or just nut butter, because Reese's are the best candy.
Reese's are fantastic, but I would not consider them a candy bar.
Well, no, but the best candy bars, Three Musketeers. So, what?
What?
Yeah,
What kind of opinions are you slinging today?
the appropriate ones, the ones Jesus would agree with. Do you disagree with Jesus?
I don't know.
Choose your words carefully.
I don't think Jesus ever had a candy bar.
He invented them. What are you talking about?
Okay.
There's some people that are going to be very offended with our sense of humor on that.
Listen, man. If you can't make fun of your own religion, is it worth even having?
Right? I mean, come on. I mean, that's anyway.
Yeah.
So not none of that was Star Wars. So let's talk about some Star Wars. So
It was
yeah,
fun though.
everybody's talking about the Mandalorian.
Hmm.
Obviously, we specifically last year avoided talking about the Mandalorian for the sake of trying not to be bandwagon, and because we already don't have a huge audience,
Yeah.
and I didn't want anyone that does listen to us to be overwhelmed with the fact of all five other podcasts they listen to are talking about the Mandalorian as well. You know, I wanted to
Yeah.
try and give something different. That's why we only just recently talked about season one as a whole. You know, we did kind of like we're doing now. We did a like initial like, hey, episode one of this new unknown amazing show just dropped. Let's talk about it. Um, but I mean, I don't know what we're gonna do. I think I don't know that we're gonna commit to doing Mando episodes
Yeah.
necessarily, but the first one was the first one, so significant. Second of all, it was personally significant for us. If anybody's been listening to the show long enough to know favorite characters and theories,
Yeah.
so we had to talk about it, at that point. So
Yeah.
I mean, so are we doing more? I don't know. We're kind of just flying by the seat of our pants, apparently, because
Yeah.
this was not what we were supposed to talk about today.
No, but at the end of the day, it's what we need to talk about.
I mean, I guess so.
Was that heartfelt enough?
No, it
Okay.
was very, very wooden.
Well, just call me the log lady then, because,
You
like,
are.
my log will have something to say about
It
this.
does. Um, so yeah, I mean, we are a little bit later. Most people have already talked about the Mandalorian by now. So by the time this gets out, maybe people will be open to another podcast talking about this
Yeah.
same show.
Here's the thing: is it's not just talking about the Mandalorian. It's also probably going to come up. We're going to talk about spoilers too.
Well, I mean,
Not the spoilers from the show, but spoiler culture in general.
I'm just I hate it. I got spoiled before ever seeing the episode on the
Yeah.
most significant thing of the episode.
Yeah, that was very irritating.
Yeah, and it was by an official. Well, I mean, official. I mean, none of us are official.
No. It
But
was a very well
it
respected
was a
news.
reputable Star Wars fan site, and they just put it on social media at 1:30 p.m. the day the episode came out, and it's
Yeah.
like that was 12 hours later.
And I think it would have been better if they had apologized later, but the
No,
attitude of, well,
too bad.
too bad.
Which, I mean, I can understand to a point. Look, you follow a news site, they're going to talk about it. Yes, but the day of,
Yeah.
and I'm talking pictures of the most significant thing in the episode. Come on. Like that's bold-faced. That was stupid. Um and I just don't think it's even fair.
Yeah.
Not even just to me, but just to anybody that's viewing your page or potentially viewing your page. It's just this idea of I don't care what arrangement your life is in that you're not up to date on the newest Star Wars thing right now,
Hmm.
but we're talking about it. I mean, I just hate this idea of having to critically avoid things. Like it should just be the decency of at least wait a day, 24 freaking hours.
Yeah.
Come
Well,
on.
that's why we at Nerd Herder have the policy of we're going to talk about the Mandalorian the
By
Monday after.
Monday, if you're following us and don't have things muted or whatnot, then we're gonna assume you've seen it
Mm-hmm.
or you're prepared to see it. Like we're giving you the weekend. I mean that's fair.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's the same kind of courtesy as I like I talk to my boss um every time I come to work after a Mandalorian episode and I'm like, "Hey, have you seen the episode?" And if he says no, I walk away. Well, I still talk to him, but if he says yes, then I know it's safe to talk to him about things that I was excited about. Like
right.
it's
I mean
the same kind of
there's ways
courtesy.
still to still talk about it and be careful and
Mhm.
be respectable. And I think that's the biggest thing is the word respectable.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of, you know, don't suck. Like don't be a sucky person.
Don't be a butt.
Like goodness gracious.
Don't
I
be
mean,
twice butt.
that's the minimum I think requirement for existing. And so many of you fail.
Well, like we've had the conversation before about I think it's called a Bechtel test of um there's people in the world who do not put up
Oh
their
yeah.
shopping carts
Mhm.
when it's like 5 feet from the shopping cart return thing.
Mhm.
That is an empathy test at the bare minimum,
You're right.
in my
Like
opinion.
yeah, there's no consequence, there's no reward.
No,
But
you're
can
making someone else's life easier.
right, you're thinking of someone else. Like again, bare minimum, you're not being a butt.
Mm-hmm.
Like goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, we're going to talk about it starting Monday. Like, you know, you're not going to hear from us. Now, if you want to message us and preface with, hey, have you seen it yet? Because we plan to see it every Friday at this point. We didn't get to for the first episode, but that was because
Yeah.
we were watching it with friends and we were,
Yeah.
you know,
And they
like,
have a baby or
oh,
whatever.
darn, you know, we wanted to have an experience with friends. Like, goodness gracious.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but by and large, we're planning to see it Friday. But even still, out of courtesy, if you want to chat about it and you want to DM us or talk to us directly, still preface with "Have you seen it?" And if so, we'll chat with you there. But on full social media, you can expect to see or hear things starting Monday.
Yeah.
You know,
Because we return our shopping carts.
yes, we do. So yeah, I mean the big thing with it, and obviously, if you're listening to this episode, why would you listen to an episode about an episode you haven't watched? I'm not gonna keep saying spoiler.
Spoiler.
I assume by clicking an episode, hey, Mando season 2 episode 1 discussion, we're talking about the episode. I'm sorry, but like like me not giving consent to see something
Mm-hmm.
scrolling through Twitter is very different than you clicked on an episode of a podcast that talks
Who
about
does
Star
deep dives?
Wars. Like,
Yeah.
goodness gracious. So I'm not going to say, I can't say I'll remember to say that all the time. So,
Yeah. Okay. Spoiler.
yeah, from here on out till the season finale of this, because, the main reason we wanted to talk about Mandalorian was because Boba Fett shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's people that are still like, well, it's not confirmed and blah, blah. I mean,
That's
come
straight up
on.
Boba Fett, man.
You don't get Tamara Morrison and pull some, hoodwinked
Yeah.
stuff.
And I checked his IMDb. He's credited as Boba Fett.
Well, but IMDb,
Well, yeah.
meh. I mean, that's as credible as Wikipedia. But nonetheless, I'm just saying. What?
Wikipedia is one of the most accurate crowdsourced websites.
Yeah, when they catch hackers and catch people, I mean, it's still a public domain that can take public information. IMDb, I think, was the one that miscredited Sam Witwer as a background in this
Yeah, that did
episode.
happen.
If it's not IMDb, nonetheless, like it all comes from people, and people are imperfect and can mess up. So I don't trust any of it. But I mean, my
Yeah.
thing is just the simple fact you've got Tamara Morrison, and you've got an episode about Boba Fett's armor. You're not gonna do that to me. If you
Yeah.
do, like you suck. We just talked about not being a butt. Don't be a butt.
Don't be a butt.
So Boba Fett shows up, which we've talked about quite a lot in anticipation and in theory for season 2 and everything. Well, I mean, not even that, just in general with the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I made any bets on. I mean, certainly not episode 1, but I didn't make
No.
any hard bets on season 2 getting to see Boba Fett. I kind of figured at some point he'd get mentioned for sure,
Yeah.
and we had our hopefulness, but
Like
nothing as
first
definitive as this.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really pulling out the gate 90 miles an hour with this one. And I think that's the most significant thing. Not to say that And I know that's what a lot of people was worried about, like, oh, Boba Fett's here now, so that's all people are going to talk about.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, for this episode, that's kind of a significant part. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
we have Cobb Vanth showing up.
right. And that's what I was going to say. Cobb Vanth is just as big of a deal.
Yeah, like that's a huge freaking deal. It
Hmm.
has so many different um what's the word I'm looking for?
Implications?
Implications, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Like
Um, yeah. Well, and my thing, there's nothing huge with Mando and Baby in this one. Like, there's nothing huge out of character or different or crazy with them. I mean,
no.
they're them. So the most significant thing um, to talk about is the guest appearances.
Yeah.
Um,
Timothy Oliphant as Cobb Vanth
yeah,
with his narrow
I
hips.
love Timothy Olivier, and
Stop it.
we have a running disagreement because I have grown up my entire life calling him Timothy Olivier,
And I pronounce it correctly as Oliphant.
and I refuse to take correction.
You do it with this and you do it with geriatric.
Geriatric.
It's pronounced geriatric.
I mean,
It's a hard G, babe.
it is. It's a very hard G geriatric. My grandpa's a hard G. He's got geriatria or whatever. I don't know what that
I went
is.
to school with a geriatria.
I probably did. You joke, but anyway, so yeah, like he was great in this episode. I mean, so the whole premise is, I mean, you talk about Boba Fett not being expected. Neither was Cobb Vanth, certainly.
Heck no.
And I'm not going to go huge on it because I feel like so many people have lovingly come around all of the noobs that are coming to, who is this, why does he have Boba Fett's, I mean, they kind of explained, I appreciate them explaining it
Oh
in the
yeah.
episode because otherwise that was going to be a kind of big deal. But even still, I mean, we're watching with friends and I'm explaining as we're going in
Yeah.
terms of what the heck,
Mostly because our friend Michael was like, "Why are you freaking out?" Because
right.
I was the entire time like, "Oh, so we're doing this."
Well, and having people, some, had some friends that were even like, is it really Boba Fett's armor? And to some people that would
Yes,
be a
honey.
very big like, duh. But I get
Yeah.
you. I mean,
Not everyone's read off Aftermath.
sure. Well, and even then, I mean, technically it could be somebody else's. There. I mean, it's green, yellow, and scorched. I
Hmm.
mean, technically that could be a few people.
Yeah.
So like all of these things. So many people have already talked about. I mean, Star Wars books themselves pretty quickly jumped on in supporting and being like, "Hey, yes, Cobb Vanth, here's this excerpt from this book and everything like that."
Hmm.
I'm a big fan of Aftermath. I love Cobb Vanth's story, so I was very excited to see this happen.
Hmm.
Um,
He has a very good swagger about him.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely different than I pictured because when you're reading, you make up the whole thing.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to look so like fresh, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, I get you.
I mean, and I know Olivier's played like sheriffs and cowboys before, which is why people were like, "Oh, it's going to be Cobb Vanth," and I'm like, "Here's the thing. I was one of those. I was like, y'all are stupid because that's a book character and it's not happening." Um, I am very thankful that they cared enough to do that with such a small character.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, if I was Chuck Wendig to see that, Timothy Olivier is playing a character I created, and it's like for side stories, it's not even the most significant thing. Like, Star Wars Squadron's coming out and giving a live actress a chance to step into the role of Ray Sloan. It's like
Hmm.
these characters he's created for a book series that is largely unloved. I mean, maybe it's just me and the circle I see, but a lot of people don't like those books, and I don't understand why. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I really like them, and I can't understand not liking them because they
Hmm.
have so many great stories like the stories of Freetown or Mos Pelgo. I guess kind of mad they didn't say Freetown, but
Hmm.
or if they did, I missed it. But like they just called it Mos Pelgo because I think the Moss thing,
Yeah,
Moss
you gotta
Isley,
keep
Moss.
it. There's a naming convention here, babe.
Yeah, I think they needed it to make sense for everyone. But yeah, I like. I didn't expect. I mean, honestly, I expected more like what they did with Din Djarin, with Pedro Pascal, and making him. He's not attractive as the Mandalorian. I mean, to be fair, I only saw him with a concussion, so not me with a concussion. He had a concussion
I'm
in that
kind
one
of
episode.
I'm kind of regretting us not doing full video, so no one saw my full reaction
Well,
to
I
what you
mean,
just
he
said.
doesn't look. I mean, it's not one of those roles where you cast Pedro Pascal because he looks good.
It's not Wonder Woman 1984.
Right. I mean,
83?
he's a guy with helmet hair.
84.
Uh, Probably should shower more. It
Eight.
doesn't matter. Nobody watched it.
Whoa!
I'm
I
just
would have watched
kidding.
it if we.
Eh,
I,
yeah.
I love Wonder Woman. All right, go keep going. I see your
Do you
judgmental
see how
eyes.
much I have to add to that conversation?
Yeah, I know.
um,
It's the same thing with any time I try to talk to you about Superman, is you always just do
I like
that.
Henry Cavill.
He's a good boy.
Yeah.
He's a very good boy.
Hmm.
The Witcher 2 or The Witcher season 2 got pushed back even more. I'm a little
Well,
upset.
not it didn't sound too hard. It sounded like he was moving. They were going somewhere else to do what they could do in studio.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they're working on other things. I mean, it just changes their schedule.
I
I don't know that
know.
it delays anything.
I hope not, because I'm excited for season 2. Sorry. Okay, let's
It's okay.
continue.
I've thoroughly forgotten what I was saying at this point, so it's fine.
Sorry. He's not attractive as the Mandalorian. He needs to take a shower.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not made to be attracted. He's not there because he looks good. Timothy Olivier is there because he looks good. And I mean, there's a reason that half of the Star Wars fandom is calling him daddy now, okay? I mean, let's
Gross.
just acknowledge that out the gate.
Hmm.
I,
I appreciate the salt and pepper.
well,
Gotta
he's
say.
old. He's so much older than he used to be.
He's so much older than he was in Girl Next Door.
Right. So, well, I mean, Scream.
He was in Scream, wasn't he?
Yeah. So, and he was in that like mid-20s, and that was 20 years ago. So, yeah. Yeah,
Ugh.
no, he's like and I agree. I get why people are just like fawning. I mean, I disagree, but I get it if that makes sense.
Hmm.
I have opinions on fawning over actors and actresses, but anyway, that's another
That's
conversation.
another conversation that we're not going to have. But
So,
anyway,
um,
John Leguizamo's
he
in
just
Star Wars.
he's so much more dashing than I expected
Yeah.
a guy of his story to be. So it was a little interesting to get that confirmation, like for him to be Cobb Vanth and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. And I don't know, different, but that's only because again, jumping from page to screen is a different transition, and there's a little bit of wiggle room in that because so much of characterization in books is done by the reader.
Hmm.
So there's so much that was probably just my inference.
Yeah. You were probably picturing a very sweaty, cool hand Luke kind of character.
I mean, I kind of imagined a very Sam Worthington looking,
Mm.
kind of gruff, but not too like built, but also not like he couldn't hold his own. Because the whole thing of Cobb Vanth is like he's good enough, but that reputation boost of the armor and everything sends it over the edge. And so I see that as a very like blue collar kind of character,
Hmm.
whereas you know, in this portrayal, there's nothing explicitly that says like, oh no, he's too fancy or anything like that. It's just Timothy Olivier. Like he looks too good. But at the end of the day, I love it. I actually love the lanky aesthetic of
Yeah.
him because he's a tall boy,
He is a very
and I
tall,
appreciate
narrow
them not
boy.
editing the armor to fit him
Oh,
because it just
yeah.
makes more sense that well no he bought it and he just threw it on,
Hmm.
so you get what you get. But I thought it looked good. I mean,
Yeah. I'm glad they did not accessorize.
oh yeah, it's literally just he put it on and that's what's stayed.
Hmm.
The significant thing of it is like I want to say the story first started taking place maybe like 6 months after episode 6. So um by this point he's had like 4 years, 4.5 years or so with the armor. So I can understand him parting ways with it. You've made this free town. You've done your job. Everybody respects you and believes you. And after today's events, they further believe you
Yeah.
because you've helped usher in peace with the Tuscan Raiders.
I mean, you got a
So
freaking crate dragon.
you don't need the armor anymore. I mean, let's
Yeah.
just be real. Um, and I think that's um, we talked about after watching that the significance I think of that's going to play in the story in terms of you don't need the armor to be Mandalorian. You don't need the citizenship. You don't need the birth certificate. You need the character, the creed.
You need the gumption.
Right. And when you're introducing a character like Boba Fett, who we'll kind of transition to now, like that's the significance of it. Is I hold hard and fast to the fact that he's one of the best in character Mandalorians,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what people think. And so many people come out of the woodworks and love to point things out. Don't you dare talk about their favorite characters. But if you say Boba Fett is Mandalorian in Creed, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
he's not Mandalorian. They said that in one episode. Okay, yeah. Din's not Mandalorian. He was adopted. He was a
There you go.
foundling. I mean, the whole story, guys. Jango Fett was never Mandalorian. He was Din Djarin. He was adopted into it. He was taken in by Jaster Muriel. That made him a Mandalorian by creed. Therefore, his son would have been raised by that same thing. Maybe not have lived entirely by it in his younger years, but I mean, he's being raised by a lizard and a mad woman. I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Who apparently got killed later.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
whatever.
right. Well, and at least we have that bookend thrown in there.
I feel like Boba wouldn't have been too sad about that.
No,
He probably would
I
have
don't
just been
think he
like,
liked her.
oh,
I don't think anybody liked her.
anyway.
That was her problem.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah. So I think that's going to be a significant play with bringing Boba in. Is it's going to be a matter of, I'm not Mandalorian. Neither are you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's team up and be like Mandalorians anyway.
Yeah.
Because guess what? There's only like 6 of us now. So we need all we can get in the Mando Club.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. I mean. So for the story overall, a lot of people kind of related it to chapter 4 of the first one, where it's like, hey, he trains a village and teams up with them to take down this thingy. Um, I mean, did you get any? Did it feel too familiar in the story or anything? Or
No, honestly, like I felt like it was just different enough that it felt like a side quest, honestly. Like which I that's not me saying that it was a bad story or anything. Side quests are some of my favorite parts of video games.
Mhm.
But I think it was a perfect first episode for me, honestly.
It was a really good way to jump in,
Mhm.
and it really set the pace. I mean, not only we're dropping Boba Fett, like not only in terms of those kinds of big things. But I mean, we were talking about the graphics, like how
Oh
much
man,
CGI was in this first episode.
like we even had a conversation within the first few minutes of the I can never remember the aliens race, the Cyclops at the beginning.
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Me either.
Um,
But the Cyclops at the beginning, that
hmm
Mando goes to see. That's who is, by the way, played by John Leguizamo,
yeah.
which I mentioned under my breath earlier. But like
Oh no, it's significant because I
that is
love that
very
man.
right.
He's a great dude.
Why are you crying, little Latin boy in Star Wars? Like
He's amazing, and we talked about how like we have this dream list of, oh, if all of our favorite people could be in Star Wars,
yeah,
kind of thing. So, yeah, I that was a good catch you made really early on.
yeah, because I
Um,
can spot John Leguizamo from a mile away.
yeah, but yeah, so the digital touch up on
Yeah.
that makeup was really good.
Oh yeah, that was stunning. Like we couldn't tell if it was an animatronic or CGI at first.
Which
It
more
was
than
so
likely
smooth.
very big a blend. Um, Yeah, and then I mean the Crate Dragon itself, which cool to see,
Amazing.
amazing to see canonized. I believe that is the first canon representation, but it obviously took pretty huge lending from like Knights of the Old Republic, where I think that they made Crate Dragons most popular. I think. Um,
And very cool looking. It looked like an Alaskan bullworm, but we're not
right,
going
it
to
looked
talk
like
about that.
oh, what's the trimmer alien? A graboid.
Yeah, it looks like a
Yeah,
graboid.
so many references you can make.
Yeah,
Um,
even like the one sand person that leaned down and with the hand to the ground, and I was like, oh, he's gonna get eaten like Kevin Bacon.
right.
Like,
Oh, well, what was so funny is, well, the one where, they send the bantha in to feed it, and it
yes,
goes after the
that was
dude.
so funny.
I love it.
So this great dragon has a sense of spite, we
Oh
see.
yeah, apparently, like, cause apparently he can tell what he's going for.
Oh yeah.
Um, well, and also, worth mentioning how much more Tusken Raider interaction we get, which is great.
Oh yeah, we have like
Um,
full fleshed out characters.
and we had a really big conversation with friends around it in terms of the whole thing of like the representation they have, the commentary they have on
Hmm.
things like racism and I mean even American history. I mean, it's not too hard to see Native American symbolism there as well,
Hmm.
in this idea of, you this group of indigenous people being pushed back and demonized, because they exist, and when they're doing what they are used to doing to exist, which is hunting,
Hmm.
it and it brushes up against the colonials. Oh, savages. Oh,
Yeah.
they got to go. They're monsters, all of them, men, women, and children. Like, I think that something that was just never really latched onto with. I mean, there's a couple of lines in episode 4, sure, but like episode 2, where they just full on like they're animals,
Hmm.
and I killed. Like, here's the thing: we saw them in little villages with babies and moms
Yeah.
and puppies. They
They
went.
did have
George Lucas
puppies.
went out of his way to show a scene where we see they're not animals.
Hmm.
They are not savages. In this episode, we get like they're brushing their bantha's teeth.
Yeah, that
Like,
was cute.
I mean, even serial killers can care about hygiene, but at some point you've got to look at like, no, they're not what everybody says they are.
Hmm.
Just years and years of war and just racism and all kinds of stuff has just made its way to where everybody just believes these things. Oh, don't mess with Tuscans; they're just bad news, and it's just
Yeah. We
they're people.
also we also got two very significant things from Din Djarin in this episode. We got number one, someone speaking Tuscan,
A
which
human,
was
yeah, speaking Tuscan, which is somehow less, or
uh,
yeah, less awkward than speaking Shriwook. I was
or
trying to think of how I was
binary
saying it. Huh?
or binary.
Well, we've never heard that though.
We heard Anakin speaking binary in a
When?
deleted
In a
scene.
deleted scene, yeah,
That
but it was
counts.
deleted because it was stupid.
It was fun though.
Um, no, like, yeah, the one thing I do have with Solo was that
Uh,
it's just
it's so
gurgling.
silly.
This you can see where you can hear and see they worked on it.
Hmm.
I think yes, the comedy of the scene in Solo really works, but I'd like to see a legitimate. Now, to their credit, they put subtitles and clearly he's mispronouncing some things.
Yes,
I'll give
and
it.
that's good.
Yes. So that means someone out there speaks better Shriwook than Han Solo, and I want
Someone
that.
can teach Shriwook.
Exactly. So, but yeah, like it was really cool.
Hmm.
And it was pretty dang legitimate. Oh,
Oh
and I
yeah.
mean, speaking of like speakings, like the Crate Dragon roaring like Obi-Wan.
Hmm.
It like
That was
if
very
you
cool.
listen, it's there, and that's like such a great thing because it's. I mean, they tried a couple of times in different editions to make it better, but overall, it's just an old man yelling.
Yeah.
Okay, so to hear that, oh, no, that was actually a pretty good impression. It's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And
So
that's such a Dave Filoni thing to do, such a deep cut reference.
right, well, and I'm sure there's people out there that don't have that connection of
Yeah.
that's what he was doing. He wasn't just hollering like it was he was imitating a crate dragon because
Hmm.
crate dragons, Tusken Raiders go back.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
and the second thing, sorry,
mhm.
was we got a new Star Wars curse word.
Yeah.
Dank Farrant.
Which is just dag nabbit.
Dang Flabbit.
Somebody made that relation, and I just can't unhear it now. So,
Where
yeah.
where are we with curse words in Star Wars? We got
You got
Carabast,
Carabast, Poodoo. You've got Blasted, or some piece
Blast.
Blasted or Blasted. So I've heard it different ways.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, Hans said hell.
Yeah.
He even used it in the connotation that would insinuate the place, not just a curse, which
Hmm.
is interesting. Um,
Star Wars hell. That's
yeah,
something I want to think
Star
about.
Wars hell. It's just hanging out with Sheev and
Ooh.
giving him foot jobs or foot massages.
There's gonna be some editing on this video.
Oh gosh, I thought I could make it without it, but
It's so
no.
funny.
I mean,
Okay, foot jobs. But anyway, so yeah, contact us on Twitter and tell us what's your favorite Star Wars curse word.
there you go.
Yeah,
Um,
don't use any
so
actual curses because we're a family show.
yeah, I mean, plenty of people have done it, and like I said, it's out there if you want to dig into Cobb Vanth. I highly recommend just at least checking out the Aftermath interludes where he originates from.
Yes.
That's really where everything is. I mean, he literally went from book to screen. We don't have to recount that here, but I'm very in love with the concept of him and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that. And
You're in love with Combat? Yeah.
no, not quite. I like his character. I like what Chuck Wendig introduced, and that now Filoni and Favreau have um, kind of given a little bit of a new life to, and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the main thing is definitely Boba Fett, who again, my whole thing was hoping that yeah he'd come in somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of sucked to have a whole show about Mandalorians happening after the events of Return of the Jedi and not talk about the most significant thing that happened in Return of the Jedi,
The
which
death of
is
Boba
yeah
Fett.
the unceremonious um, knockout of Boba Fett. So I mean, obviously, clearly he escaped. Which I mean, if the Sarlacc is just a tube, if it's just a throat, I kind of have to imagine that's not that hard to escape from.
Mm-hmm.
So him escaping, I don't think I need a whole lot to. I don't need a
Yeah.
lot of
I mean, it's
explanation.
freaking Boba Fett.
I mean, sure. I mean, he has like, um, the jetpack still worked after
Mm-hmm.
Din hit it, so that shows like even
Yeah.
after what happened, it just shorted out, but it's still functional. So
That's a good detail, by the way.
yeah, so it's one of those. I mean, he easily just could have rocketed out of there. Still had a hard time clearly because he's scarred up and grizzly. He's got no eyebrows now, so there's that.
I mean, I don't think you would either if you got stomach acid on you.
I mean, that's kind of fair. That might actually be a thing. But apparently, he's just been hiding out on Tatooine. I don't think he's not capable of finding a way out. I think he chose to stay there.
Probably. I mean, he probably did like we've seen characters do in the movie Aliens,
Hmm.
where it just like shucked off the armor as fast as possible and just left it in the desert and walked away.
I mean, it pretty much sounds like that's what it was, and it seems like. I mean, I kind of have the thought that he took the chance for an early retirement. It was just very much like, I mean, best to go out in a blaze of glory than just grow old. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and take my retirement in peace and stay out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that being an explanation for it. I don't. Again, I just don't think it's a matter of well, I couldn't get off the planet.
No.
I mean,
Where's Slave One?
he was close enough to. Yeah, somebody probably already had stolen that.
Probably, but wouldn't it be so cool
What's that?
if like they go to
Well,
Jabba's palace or the remainder of Jabba's
to
palace
see if they
and
find it. I mean,
yeah.
I kind of had the idea maybe he even has it. Like he could have probably found his way. I mean, they were in the
Mm-hmm.
Dune Sea, but if he's been there long enough, he probably could have found a way to Jabba's palace, gotten his ship, and he might still have his ship, and if again just chose not to, not to use it, not to escape. Like he just wants to lay low.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that it makes way more sense for this to be a choice than out of whatever necessity.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, as much as we'd like to think that Boba's been, just being BA around the galaxy, no, he's okay having quiet time with Boba.
yeah, because I mean, really, what I see is that's the barrier to why he might not just up and go with the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Like, no, I'm retired. I'm done. I'm
yeah.
out. I'm
He's
also,
got one of them dogs
yeah,
that the Tuscans
probably. That
have.
I hope so. Actually,
I know, right?
they're called mastiffs, but yeah, like I hope it's very much like because they need a reason. Why wouldn't he just go with Din?
Yeah.
Why not just sign up to be part of his crew and just leave? Because he's happy there.
Hmm.
But I feel then that means that there's going to be something that pulls him in for sure. And I think it's going to be hearing that there's other Mandalorians and they're in danger in some way by the Empire. The Empire that eliminated people that look like Boba
Yeah.
for the sake of drafting, guys from every witch a corner to enforce imperialism.
Hmm.
You know, I think that's a little bit more motivating to want to leave retirement or come back out,
Yeah.
don the armor again.
Or just seeing Moff Gideon with the dark saber, maybe,
Maybe. I mean,
because he obviously knows what it is.
I would much, again, I don't want it to be the Boba show, but I'd much, and because I'd want Din to continue to be who he is, and I don't think he's a leader of people. I'd like to see him give the dark saber to Boba after he retrieves it from Gideon's dead body, and being like, "Hey,
This is
you want to
yours.
retire? Here, go leave a legacy. Be in
Mm-hmm.
charge." Because then that gives explanation. Where's Boba Fett? What's he doing? Well, he's out there being a leader. He's out there doing a job. You
He's
know,
the Mandalore.
right? Because I just don't see Din getting tied down with stuff like that. I just don't see him being that kind of cat. So it's like better him to continue his journey, either trying to find more Jedi or whatever. But I just don't see him being Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, if rumors continue to be believed and Bo-Katan ends up showing up, that's a little bit more. Uh, I think she has a little bit more right to it, but also she lost it, so that will
Yeah,
probably come up in conversation. But no,
likely.
so I don't know, but I could see Boba being significant moving forward. Some people are wondering if this is all we're gonna get. I kind of doubt you're gonna do that to us.
Yeah, after waiting an entire year slash
Well,
season.
no, after waiting, I mean, how long's it been since any real new Boba content? I mean, the Clone Wars, for goodness sake.
Exactly.
So, and that, I mean, and there's still gaps to fill. Um, I think this is going to be significant for getting our first real personified characterization of Boba Fett, though, because after a certain age, after the Clone Wars, he's just helmeted. He's just the cool looking armored guy over there with the jetpack.
Mm-hmm.
So to get an older Boba Fett characterized will be great because when he's younger, he's got some differences. He's not the cool guy because
Yeah.
he hasn't worked up to that yet. He's still, you know, he's still baby. He's still got some growing up to do. Um, but so all that to say, there's still plenty of room to close the gap. But I'm excited for what this is going to mean for such an kind of shelved character.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, and hopefully this will be the push that some fans finally need to be like, hey, Boba Fett's cool. You don't need us to tell you that Boba Fett's cool because you can see right here,
right.
Boba Fett's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm really looking forward to him getting pulled into the fight and seeing some action. I
Right?
mean, oh my
Because we
goodness.
know that Tamara Morrison can do it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love the behind the scenes of how much fun he got to have with Django. So it's like,
Yeah.
and we've even said, I mean, it's not just down to Tamara Morrison. I want to see Daniel Logan do it. I want
Yeah.
to I want to see young Boba Fett in action. So in general, just give me more Boba Fett.
Give
I
you more
don't
Boba Fett. Give me more Darth
I
Maul.
don't want him taking over this show. It's still, the Mandalorians show. But I think we can all be excited for the possibilities of the future with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I think it's going to only get more and more exciting, and I think we got a lot of surprises ahead of us. I mean, if that's in episode one, just imagine what's next. I mean, come on, it's going to be big.
They're gonna resurrect the corpse of Captain Lou Albano and just remake the Super Mario Brothers show with John Leguizamo's character.
There you go.
There you go. Which
Mario in space,
was a freaking bop, if
Mario
you don't
Galaxy, if you
remember.
will.
Mario Galaxy. Oh, look at you.
So, but yeah, I again don't know what we're gonna do if we're gonna do anything else. I mean, obviously, it's safe to say if Boba Fett shows up more, we're gonna talk about it.
Yes.
Outside of that, I don't know that we'll do every episode by episode. We might leave it up to the big stuff.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
And hey, if
you
you
know,
want to talk more about The Mandalorian as it goes, listen to our dog Boba sighing over there.
right?
But certain point of view, every time a new episode comes out, they do a Discord chat. So if that's something you want to be a part of, go to their Twitter
Yeah,
and
from a certain
see
point
what
of
they
view
can do.
podcast.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot to mention, hey,
Well, you
podcast.
said their name,
Yeah.
but I just mean you can find them in Red5Network .com. You can check out all the other podcasts. It's just a matter of collecting all these cool people and putting them together, and then we snuck in the back, and
Yeah.
they haven't noticed us yet. So,
And let it be known, stuff happens on Scarif. You haven't listened to the new episode of From a Certain Point of View, so you don't know that yet. But
ooh,
stuff happens on Scarif.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it does.
I'll show you the video
Anyway,
later.
and then also big shout out to our friend Jesse and Game Infinite. There's lots of gaming news happening right now. I don't know if you know. You would know if you follow Game Infinite. They talk gaming. They share cosplay. They share art. They share news. All kinds of awesome stuff about games across the board. Any platform you like, they talk about it. We also partner with Game Infinite to talk about Star Wars over on Instagram at Star Wars Infinite. We do trivia, we share cosplay, art, and all kinds of cool stuff, and do different polls throughout the week. So if you're looking to add some Star Wars to your Instagram life, then follow Star Wars Infinite there. Follow Game Infinite on every platform, but especially on Twitter. Um, and your life will be better for it.
Yeah.
Money back guarantee, which you didn't pay for it, so there you go. You don't get any money.
No money down.
Right. But if you want to give us money, you can. You can check out our Patreon page. We don't do anything special. We're very upfront with that.
Hmm.
It's purely there if you want to support the show and interact with us. We do talk to our patrons quite a lot in terms of episode direction, thoughts on content, and everything like that. And they're great. So, Jim, Rebecca, and Doug, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We don't currently have any sponsors to shout out. So, that's something, if you love the show, that'd be a great help. If nothing else, then just rate, like, share, all that good stuff. Just don't
Yeah.
just listen to it, but help other people listen to it. That's the hugest thing you can do. That costs absolutely nothing but time, and it's like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Just share a podcast, share a tweet, that such. We're almost at like 800 followers, I think,
That's
which
weird.
is baffling. Like, what's wrong with you people?
Why are you
Um,
following us?
but also thank you.
I
It's
guess.
just like we're not comfortable with attention, but we're also grateful for it. So it's great. But no, yeah. So if you can't support the show, or if you only support shows that give Patreon packages and art and all these exclusive things, that's fair. Just share the episode. That's great too. But yeah, nonetheless, I mean, at least just listening and giving of your time is amazing, because, again, you're choosing to put yourself through this, which is quite baffling. But thank you. We're glad you're here. And we'll be back with more content. We've got Nerdiverse in the pipes. We've got Rebels Rewatch
Yeah.
in the pipes. We've got all kinds of things coming up that we're excited to share with you.
So bring a plunger.
Yeah, bring a plunger. There's apparently a lot of stuff in your pipes. Um, but it'll be coming out when it comes out, and hopefully you'll enjoy it and all that good stuff. But until then, I've been your herd leader, John Wayne. And may the force be with you. And we'll see you next week. Bear.